Part 300. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2991. Chapter 2991. He was the person that night. Yeah, yes, he nodded. But, why don't I remember? Chiao Mian frowned again and thought about it for a moment, but she couldn't remember when she had met Moyesi in the hotel. Could it be that he saw her in a hotel? But she didn't know. Moyesi was silent for a few more seconds. Mian, do you still remember that night, when you spent the night with a strange man in the hotel? When he mentioned this matter, Chiao Mian's expression suddenly changed. She pushed him away and sat up. Her face was pale for a moment. After a few seconds, she seemed to have thought of something and her eyes widened in shock. That night, that man was you. Yes, Moyesi met her shocked gaze, hesitated for a moment, and nodded. Mian, that was the first time we met. It was an accident that night. You were drunk, and they mistakenly recognized the wrong person and took you to my room. At that time you... Moyesi thought carefully about his words. At that time you were unconscious and very active. My self-control was not very good at that time, so... Chiao Mian was so shocked that she couldn't say a word. What happened that night has always been a worry for her. She thought that she lost her virginity to a stranger for the first time. Even though Moyesi said at the time that he didn't mind this matter and was still very kind to her, Chiao Mian herself did. That night was an unforgettable night for her. Just thinking about it makes her feel bad. Later, she tried not to think about it anymore. Buried every bit of that night deeply in my heart. She even hated the man who took away her first time. But that man turned out to be Moyesi. So, she did not lose her virginity to another man. From beginning to end, the man with her was Moyesi. Mian, are you angry? Moyesi frowned when she didn't speak, reached out and gently pressed her shoulder, looking at her with his deep black eyes. I should have told you earlier. I had too many worries and indecisiveness, which is why I put it off until now. Baby, I'm sorry. Moyesi apologized sincerely. I shouldn't have hid it from you like this. Because I was afraid that you would hate me and alienate me because of it, I hid it from you for so long. If you really hate me because of this matter, it's okay, I deserve it. Even if he decided to say it now, he only chose to say it after their relationship had stabilized. Chiao Mian still didn't speak, and there was no emotion on her face. The more she remained silent, the more unsure Moyesi felt. The man sighed softly. You really still hate me, right? He shouldn't have said it. She would never know if he didn't tell. No. Chiao Mian looked at the man's dark eyes that had dimmed. After a few minutes of silence, she finally spoke. I don't hate you. I'm just a little angry. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If you tell her earlier, she won't be obsessed with it all the time. Several times, she dreamed about that night. When I woke up the next day and faced him, I was always full of guilt. Feel a little sorry for him. I'm sorry, baby, I was wrong. The man admitted his mistake very well. He reached out to hold her in his arms, lowered his head and kissed her forehead. His voice was low and deep. Give me a chance to correct it, and I will never do it again. I kept nothing from you. I was too timid and too afraid of losing you. I was wrong, please forgive me. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2992. Chapter 2992. Confession. At this moment, Chiao Mian's focus is on another thing. She frowned, stretched out her hand to push the man away, her face slightly calm. Moyesi, I want to ask you something. You are not allowed to lie to me. Okay, you ask. Seeing her sudden change of expression, the man said seriously, I won't hide anything from you anymore. If you have any questions, I will tell you the truth. You just said that that night was an accident. It was because someone mistook me and took me to your room. So, it was actually another woman who went to your room. Thinking of this possibility, Chiao Mian frowned. Tightened. If she was not mistaken that night and was not taken to Mo Yesi's room. Could it be another woman who was with Mo Yesi that night? Although this assumption is unlikely to be true. But as soon as he thought about such a possibility, Chiao Mian felt bad. I heard a low and chuckle in my ear. The man's warm hands caressed her fair face, his deep eyes were full of doting, and his thin lips were slightly raised. Do you think, if the person who entered my room that night was not you, but someone else? Woman, I will also have those things between us with that woman. Chiao Mian bit her lip, isn't it? Of course not. Mo Yesi didn't want her to have the slightest misunderstanding about him. He reached out to hold her face, looked at her with his deep eyes, and said seriously and solemnly, what will happen to us that night? The thing is, it's because that person is you. If it were any other woman, there would only be one outcome. Chiao Mian was stunned and blinked. What's the result? I asked people to throw them out. This is not the first time that he sent a woman to his bed. If the woman who was sent to his room that night was not Chiao Mian, but someone else, there is only one ending. The woman who was sent to his room will definitely be thrown out by him. He was glad that it was her that night. Fortunately, the yin and yang was wrong that night, and he found the soul partner who could accompany him for a lifetime. Real. His answer without hesitation made Chiao Mian feel better and her face became less ugly, but she still frowned. But why would someone send a woman to your room? It was that little brat Xiaoqing who stuffed his way into my room. I didn't know about it beforehand. Mo Yesi narrowed his black eyes and decided to find time to deal with Yan Xiaoqing some other time. He would not mess with the little brat. Trouble. Young master, are you sending a woman to your room? I just returned to China that time, and he did this without telling me, saying he had prepared a gift for me. Mo Yesi confessed frankly, they knew about my problem and wanted to try to see if I could get better. No more. But the woman they arranged had a car accident on the way to the hotel then, as I said before, they mistakenly identified the wrong person and mistakenly thought you were the woman, so, you treated me as that woman and sent me to your room. Chiao Mian finished the second half of his words for him. Mo Yesi nodded, that's it? If that woman hadn't been in a car accident that night, if she had been sent to your room, would you really have thrown her out and not touched her? I swear, I will definitely throw her out. Mo Yesi raised his hand. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2993. Chapter 2993. I love you. After looking at each other for a moment. Okay, I believe you. Chiao Mian decided not to delve into this matter further. The matter is over. Mo Yesi also explained to her. She said she would believe him. Besides, if you really want to say it, she should be grateful for all the accidents that happened that night. If it weren't for those accidents, she and Mo Yesi might have missed it. She has been brooding about what happened that night and still can't let it go. At this moment, she can really let it go. Mo Yesi held her face and carefully recognized the expression on her face. Do you really believe me? Then you forgave me. Chiao Mian smiled. Yeah. Mo Yesi suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, feeling as if the stone that had been weighing on his heart for a long time had finally been removed. I feel more relaxed than ever. None of what he feared happened. She did not dislike him, blame him, or distance herself from him. She forgave him. Baby, thank you. Mo Yesi stretched out his hand to hold the little woman in front of him into his arms, and gently kissed the top of her hair. Thank you for being willing to believe in me and willing to forgive me. You won't hide anything from me again. No more, I swear. Mo Yesi Chiao Mian stretched out her hand to rub her eyes, then covered her mouth and yawned. As soon as the matter was settled, she felt sleepy again. Her voice was lazy. I'm sleepy, I want to sleep. Mo Yesi kissed her softly on the forehead again, hugged her and lay down, reaching out to turn off the light. Okay, baby, if you're sleepy, then go to sleep. Have a good sleep and have a good dream. Mo Yesi. Chiao Mian closed her eyes and soon fell asleep. Her voice became irritated. You haven't said you love me. Mo Yesi's deep eyes revealed a doting smile. Baby, I love you. Call my name, you call me by my name and say you love me. The smile in the man's eyes deepened. His big hand fell on the top of the little woman's hair in his arms, stroking it gently. He whispered softly in her ear with a low voice, Chiao Mian, I love you. I love you too. Mo Yesi, I love you too. Asterisk. Early the next morning. Mo Yesi was awakened by the sound of vomiting. He has always been a light sleeper. In the past, he would wake up immediately at the slightest disturbance. After being with Chiao Mian, his sleep condition improved slightly. But he didn't sleep too deeply. He opened his eyes and immediately looked at the place next to him, and saw that the person who was supposed to be sleeping on the bed was not there. The bathroom door is open. The sound of vomiting was heard again. Mo Yesi's expression suddenly changed, and he immediately got out of bed, without even wearing slippers, and went straight to the bathroom. Pushing open the half-open door, she saw Chiao Mian lying next to the toilet, holding the edge of the toilet with both hands, vomiting until her face turned pale, and she looked very serious. Mian, what's wrong with you? Mo Yesi frowned, with a solemn expression on his face. He strode to her side, squatted down and supported her with one hand. Why are you vomiting again? I'll call Lu Rao right away and we'll go to the hospital right away. Chiao Mian panted, feeling a little better, and then turned her head to look at him. She bit her lip, her face was pale, her brows were tightly knitted together, and she looked like she was still in pain. This time Mo Yesi said he wanted to call Lu Rao, but she didn't stop him. Because she felt so uncomfortable. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2994. Chapter 2994 Possibility of having a baby. Asterisk. Lu Rao usually doesn't go to work so early. He is the dean. Free working hours. Usually I sleep until I wake up naturally, then slowly go to the hospital to work. But early this morning, while I was still sleeping, I was awakened by the rapid vibrating sound of my mobile phone. When I woke up and saw that it was Mo Yesi calling, I immediately lost my sleepiness and picked up the call immediately. Mo Yesi was his patient before. But after marrying Chiao Mian, his problem got better on his own, and he wouldn't call him if he had nothing to do. If you call him, it's probably because of his little wife. As soon as the call was connected, an anxious voice came over, go to the hospital right away. Mian is sick. I will send her to the hospital right away. What, sister-in-law is sick? Lu Rao opened the quilt and sat up. Hearing what he said, he became serious. He got out of bed, put on his shoes and went to the bathroom to wash up. What's going on? What's wrong with her? What are the specific symptoms? Tell me first. Since Chiao Mian only had a scratch on his body in the past, Mo Yesi made a fuss and asked him to do the examination himself. Lu Rao thought it would be better for him to ask clearly first. In case a similar situation occurs again, then there is no need for him to run to the hospital. On the other side, Mo Yesi's voice was solemn. She vomited twice on the plane yesterday, and 2 more times after returning home. Later she got better and stopped vomiting, but she vomited again this morning. It must be abnormal for her to vomit so much. If it was air sickness, it would be impossible for me to still be sick the next day. I must take her to the hospital for a checkup immediately. After Lu Rao heard what he said about the disease, he was stunned for a few seconds and felt that something was wrong. Besides vomiting, are there any other symptoms? Not yet. The sound of a car starting the engine came from Mo Yesi's side, and he was already rushing to the hospital. Lu Rao put the water on the table and squinted his sleepy eyes in silence for a few seconds. Suddenly his expression changed and he raised his voice, "ACI, please ask my sister-in-law if the date has been postponed this month." That. Lu Rao pursed his lips and coughed lightly, "Ahem, it's the period that women come every month, period." There was no sound from Mo Yesi's side. Asterisk. When Lu Rao asked Mo Yesi to ask Xiao Mian if her period was postponed this month, Mo Yesi seemed to be suddenly awakened and his breathing became rapid. He turned his head and looked at his little wife, who looked a little haggard beside him. When he saw that she was vomiting so much, the first thing he thought of was whether she might be sick. "I didn't think about another thing at all." Mian, is your period this month, delayed?" Mo Yesi took a deep breath, suppressing the excitement and ecstasy in his heart, and asked in a calm voice. Period. Xiao Mian was relieved now and wasn't feeling so uncomfortable anymore, but her chest was still a little stuffy. She frowned and thought about it, and suddenly realized that her aunt had already postponed her period for more than half of this month. It's month. When Mo Yesi asked this question, she seemed to suddenly think of something. She opened her eyes instantly and said with some disbelief, "Mo Yesi, is it possible that I am pregnant with a baby?" Her aunt is not very accurate every month. So even though it was postponed, I didn't think about pregnancy. But in the past, it was delayed by 3 to 5 days. Only this month, the delay is a bit abnormal. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2995. Chapter 2995. Calm down. Vomit. Auntie has delayed it for so long. She was still very sleepy during this time. She originally thought it was because the weather was cold and she was too lazy to move. But now that I think about it, aren't these symptoms very similar to those of pregnancy? Xiao Mian became excited. She grabbed Mo Yesi's arm, her heartbeat accelerated, and her voice trembled slightly, "Am I pregnant with our baby? The red light is on." Mo Yesi parked the car, turned around, and gently held her white and soft little hand in his palm. The man's mood seemed to be very stable, and his face looked indifferent. He couldn't tell whether he was happy or unhappy, but his dark eyes that suddenly lit up and the big hand he held tightly on the other side reflected his true emotions. "Baby, there is a possibility." Mo Yesi took a deep breath, "We have been preparing for pregnancy for a long time. Don't get too excited, calm down, and go for a checkup as soon as you get to the hospital." How could Xiao Mian be calm? She was extremely excited when she thought that she might be pregnant. Even though she didn't initially plan to have a baby so early. But later, for Mo Yesi, she made some compromises. After she was mentally prepared to start preparing for pregnancy, she gradually began to look forward to their baby. After preparing for pregnancy for a long time, there was no movement in her belly. She was anxious, thinking there was something wrong with her body. Even though Mo Yesi took her for a checkup and it was found that both of them were healthy, she was still worried because she had not been able to conceive a baby. So, at this moment, after knowing that she might be pregnant, how could she not be excited? "Mo Yesi, what if I'm really pregnant?" Mo Yesi thought her question was funny. He squeezed her soft palm and said in a gentle voice, "Of course she gave birth. Isn't it because we are preparing for pregnancy so that you can have a baby?" I know Chiao Mian bit her lip, with a complicated expression on her face. I just think that if you are really pregnant, it will feel a little weird. Strange. Mo Yesi was stunned for a moment, then laughed softly. What's weird? It's just a change of identity. Suddenly I become a mother with a baby in my belly. It feels weird. What she said was a little funny. But Mo Yesi thought it was very cute, reached out to touch her head, and said dotingly, "You are not the only one whose identity has changed, but also me. If you have any discomfort, you must tell me, and we will spend this time together." A special period. Asterisk. Arrived at the hospital. Lu Rao has been waiting for a long time. I took Chiao Mian directly for a checkup. While Mo Yesi was waiting, he couldn't sit still and kept walking back and forth. Lu Rao waited outside with him. "ACI, calm down. You've been going back and forth dozens of times, and my eyes are almost dazzled by you. You and your sister-in-law have been preparing for pregnancy for so long, and you should have had good news a long time ago. Xiao, if my sister-in-law is really pregnant, wouldn't it be normal?" Mo Yesi turned around, his dark eyes half squinted, and there was a hint of impatience in his brows. "It's not that your wife is pregnant. Of course you said so lightly. Lu Rao. His wife is pregnant, and he will definitely not do this. Falling in love, getting married, and having children are all things that happen naturally. There is nothing to be anxious about. Haha, you are really hoping that your sister-in-law will get pregnant as soon as possible. When the child is born, I think you will regret having the child so early." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2996. Chapter 2996. Your wife is pregnant. Just Mo Yesi's perverted possessiveness. It would be better if I gave birth to a daughter. If I had a son. Tisk, when the time comes, I will definitely not even like my son, and feel that my wife is being taken over by him. After all, after a woman has a child, most of her thoughts go to the child. How can I still be flirting with him like this and only have eyes for him? Mo Yesi pursed his lips and stared at him expressionlessly. I'm telling the truth. Lu Rao sounded like someone who has come before him. He stood up and walked to him, reaching out and patting his shoulder. If you don't believe me, you can ask your brother how much thought your sister-in-law is spending on him now. More than that, I spend a lot of time on your little niece. Ask him if he regrets having a child so early. Anyway, I want to spend a few more years in the world of two people. Children will be born sooner or later, so there is no need to rush. Mo Yesi frowned when he heard this. Just as he was about to speak, the door of the examination room was pushed open. Chiao Mian walked out with the doctor, holding the test sheet with the results in her hand. The doctor said with a smile on his face, "Congratulations, Mr. Mo, your wife is pregnant. The baby is currently very healthy and is almost 2 months old." Mo Yesi was startled and turned his head to look at Chiao Mian. The man's deep eyes were filled with suppressed ecstasy and excitement. Even if you are mentally prepared. But the moment the results were announced, I was still overwhelmed by the huge joy and was speechless for a moment. Chiao Mian could not suppress the happiness and excitement in her eyes, and the corners of her lips raised little by little. The two looked at each other for a moment. Chiao Mian cheered, spread her arms and threw herself into his arms. Mo Yesi's expression suddenly changed, and he immediately put his hand around her waist and gently brought her into his arms. "Baby, be careful, you can't jump around like before anymore." "Husband," Chiao Mian hugged his neck, stood up on tiptoes and kissed his thin lips, smiling with crooked eyebrows. I'm really pregnant with our baby." Yes Mo Yesi lowered his head and kissed her forehead gently, one after another, his dark eyes filled with a joyful smile. Baby, you are pregnant with our baby. We are going to be parents. Husband, I'm so happy. Jiao Mianmian's dark eyes were bright. It feels so magical. There is a baby in my belly. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Do you like a boy or a girl? I like them all. Mo Yesi lowered his head and rubbed her forehead gently. As long as it's our child, I like them all. Standing aside, Lu Rao looked at the two of them making love to each other. When he was single, he wanted to eat the dog food of these two people. Now that he is married, he still wants to eat the dog food of these two people. That's enough. I really don't know how these two have been married for so long, and they still look like they are in love. He can't wait to see if they will have the so-called 7-year itch. Ahem, congratulations. Lu Rao finished eating the dog food and stepped forward with a smile. ACI, sister-in-law, congratulations to you. Shouldn't you treat me to a meal for such a big happy event? Please. Mo Yesi was in a very good mood. He stretched out his hand to comb Jiao Mianmian's hair. His hands around her waist did not dare to use too much force, and his movements were gentle. Call Xiaoqing. But we can't do it today. We will pick another day. You decide the time and place. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2997. Chapter 2997. I'm afraid she might bump into something. Asterisk. Leave the hospital. Mo Yesi carefully supported Jiao Mian throughout the whole process. Even when she went down the stairs, he looked extremely nervous. Jiao Mian said with a smile, how can you be so exaggerated? Stop supporting me. I will have no problem walking normally. Mo Yesi put one hand around her waist and did not let go. He said seriously and solemnly, it's no exaggeration. The first 3 months of pregnancy are the most important and dangerous period. I have to keep an eye on you. Jiao Mian felt the same as usual. There was no difference. Especially since the baby is less than 2 months old, her belly is not visible at all. Looking at the tense man next to her, she spoke exaggeratedly, but felt sweet in her heart. Then according to this, it is best for me to stay at home for the first 3 months, even the door is closed. Can't go out. Theoretically, that's the case. Mo Yesi thought for a while and chuckled, but if you want to go out, someone must accompany you. It's best if I accompany you. I don't feel comfortable if others accompany you. Jiao Mian thought of Zhang Luli's first 3 months, and Mo Shixiu seemed to have kept her under strict control. It was not easy for Zhang Luli to go out. Fortunately, she is a homebody. For her, she usually stays at home. If she goes out once in a while, it is not a big problem. After getting in the car, Mo Yesi carefully fastened her seat belt, his movements much gentler than usual, and he was even more careful when touching her belly. It's like being afraid that if you exert a little force, it will cause some bad consequences. Jiao Mian pursed her lips and smiled. She herself didn't care much, but Mo Yesi was really nervous. Afraid that she might bump into her. Not only that. Even the speed of the return trip was much slower than usual. When I came, it took 40 minutes. It took more than an hour to get home. Back to Lushan Villa. Jiao Mian went to change her clothes and came out, and heard Mo Yesi calling the old lady. Grandma, Mian is pregnant. I just accompanied her to the hospital and came back. The doctor said the baby is almost 2 months old and is very healthy. Well, I know, I'll pay attention. Come here now. Okay, don't worry, be careful on the road and drive slowly. After a while, Mo Yesi hung up the phone. Turning his head, he saw Jiao Mian standing at the door of the locker room looking at him. She was wearing a pajamas with cartoon patterns on it. There were 2 bunny ears hanging from the hood of the pajamas. She had a bun and a porcelain white face with delicate features. She was already pregnant and was going to be a mother, but she still looks like a young girl with a bit of childishness. If she said she was 18 years old, no one would doubt her. The little wife looks so tender, and as a husband, Moyesi is still a little stressed. He is afraid that others will say that he is an old cow eating young grass. Have you called Grandma? Chiao Mian walked towards him. As soon as he approached, Moyesi stretched out his long arms and gently took the person into his arms. Well, of course we have to let them know about such an important thing. Grandma was very happy and said she would come over to see you now. Moyesi lowered his head and smelled the faint fragrance of the girl's hair. At this moment, he felt very satisfied. Everything he wanted was now available. His life has no regrets. Grandma is coming here now. Chiao Mian frowned slightly as she thought about the old lady's legs and feet. Her legs are not good, so it would be a lot of trouble to go all the way. We should go back. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2998. Chapter 2998. No more regrets. I also told her, but she didn't listen and insisted on coming now. But I can understand Grandma's mood now. She has been looking forward to our child for a long time, and finally there is good news. It is normal for the elderly to be so happy that she can't wait any longer. Just as Moyesi finished speaking, he heard the sound of his cell phone vibrating. Is Chiao Mian's mobile phone? She glanced at Moyesi and walked towards the bed. Everyone must know about this now. Either Luoluo beat him or Chen beat him. Walked to the bed, bent down and picked up the phone and saw that it was indeed Zhang Luli calling. Chiao Mian pursed her lips and smiled, then answered the phone. Mian, I just heard from Shixiu that you are pregnant. Is it true? Do you have a baby? Am I going to be an aunt? Zhang Luli's excited voice came over, looking very excited. Chiao Mian chuckled, yeah, really? Another series of excited screams, that's great, I'm so happy baby, just wait, I'll come over and see you right away. Zhang Luli screamed excitedly and hung up the phone. Chiao Mian. She felt that Zhang Luli had never been so excited when she was pregnant. Sister-in-law called. Moyesi walked up to her. Yeah, Chiao Mian said with a smile, Lolo is very excited to know that I am pregnant, and she wants to come over now. You are best friends and sisters. She will be happy that you are pregnant. It will be a while before they arrive. Are you sleepy? Do you want to rest for a while? Chiao Mian went to the hospital early in the morning. Yesi knew that she must not have slept well. Usually, when she has nothing to do, she sleeps for more than 10 hours before getting up. Chiao Mian was a little sleepy, so she nodded, then I'll call mom and the others and tell them too. Chiao Mian was talking about the people from her natal family. It's natural. Moyesi touched her head, hugged her and sat down on the edge of the bed. After making the call, take a nap. I'll go downstairs and have someone make you some soup. Also, is there anything you want to eat? You haven't had breakfast yet. You'll feel uncomfortable on an empty stomach. Chiao Mian has no appetite at the moment due to morning sickness. But she didn't want Moyesi to worry about her, so she thought about it and said, I want to eat something sour. Sour? Okay, I'll go tell them. Soon, Moyesi got up and went downstairs. Chiao Mian called Bai Mu. After the call was answered, she told Bai Mu about her pregnancy. Over there, Bai Mu was extremely excited. The grandson who had been looking forward to for a long time finally arrived. After Bai's mother answered the phone, she pulled Bai's father with her face full of joy and said, Mian is pregnant. Come and get all the clothes and toys we bought before come out. By the way, We will also take out all the nutritional supplements that Yu Sheng brought us back from abroad some time ago. Also, call Yu Sheng quickly and ask him to go home immediately. Tell him that his sister is pregnant. I'm going to change my clothes now, and we'll go see Mian right away. Mian is pregnant. Bai's father was stunned for a few seconds, and his face also showed joy. Yes, Bai's mother smiled, we are going to have a precious little grandson to hold. Mian is so beautiful, and Yesi's son-in-law is also good looking. This child has inherited the excellent genes of his parents. I don't know how good looking he is. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 2999. Chapter 2999. Mo Yesi is a bit of a beast. She can't wait to hold her grandson. Okay, I'll go look for it right away. Lao he gave me 200-year-old ginseng before. I took them out together to replenish Mian's health. Although Father Bai is not as anxious to hold his grandson as Mother Bai, he is still very happy that his daughter is pregnant. Bai Mu happily called Bai Yusheng again. After the call was answered, she said with a happy face, Yusheng, your sister is pregnant. You are going to be an uncle. Asterisk. On the other side, Bai Yusheng is filming a new movie. Just after halftime, the assistant handed him a glass of water. He took it and almost dropped the water glass to the ground when he heard the good news from Bai Mu. Mian is pregnant. Bai Yusheng handed the water glass to the assistant again, stood up, and walked to the side to answer the phone. Yes, she just called me. She has gone to the hospital for a checkup and it is confirmed. Bai Mu couldn't hide her joy in her smiling voice. Your father and I will go over to see her in a while. Bai Yusheng knew that Bai's mother had been looking forward to this grandson, but when he heard the good news, he was not as happy as Bai's mother. The mood is a bit hard to describe. He was not unhappy, but he felt that Mo Yesi was a bit of a beast. His sister is still so young and is about to become a mother. This feeling is like watching a juicy cabbage grown in your own land being eaten by a pig. Bai Yusheng actually disagrees with Xiao Mian getting pregnant and giving birth too early. Xiao Mian is talented in acting. She could have taken advantage of her youth to work hard for a few more years and work hard in her career. But getting married and having children too early will definitely have a certain impact on her career. But he doesn't agree, so what can he do? His sister did it willingly, but he couldn't control it. Well, I'll take some time to go home in a few days. Since Mian is pregnant, Mom, you can go over and take care of her. Usually ACI goes to work, and she is bored at home alone. You can take care of her food and daily life, or stay with her. I think so too, Mrs. Bai said with a smile. I just don't know if my passing will affect the lives of their young couple. What impact can it have? If the couple wants to be in love, they can just close the door. Because he was so unhappy with Mo Yesi, Bai Yusheng didn't want him to live too comfortably. The fact that Bai Mu lived in the past naturally had some influence. Bai Yusheng's proposal was somewhat intentional. Bai Mu said something happily again, and at the end, she asked Bai Yusheng about her emotional affairs as usual. By the way, how are you and Xiao Shen getting on? Xiao Shen hasn't been home for a while. Is there something wrong with your relationship? Let me tell you, Xiao Shen is a very good girl. Your father and I both like her very much. We have already determined that she is the daughter-in-law of the Bai family. If you kill the daughter-in-law for us, my wife and I will even your father can't spare you. Bai Yusheng. She went abroad to study. Bai Yusheng reached out and pressed her swollen temples, took a deep breath, and tried to keep her tone calm. Mom, I know you like her, and you also hope that she and I will be together. The relationship can have a good outcome, but I can't say for sure about emotional matters. I. What do you mean? You and Xiao Shen really had a conflict. On the other side, Baiju's tone suddenly became anxious. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 3000. Chapter 3000. Are you so worried about me? No, Baiyusheng said helplessly, we didn't have any conflicts. I just think you shouldn't have too high expectations, and I don't want to let you down again. Okay, the filming is about to start. I'm hanging up. What's the matter? Talk about it later. This time, Baiyusheng hung up the phone before Baimu could speak again. He was really afraid that Baimu would lecture him for a long time. Baimu had been urging him hard before, saying that his sister's marriage problem had been solved, but he, the elder brother, had yet to make any move. In matters of marriage, he also ran behind his sister. Now that Jiao Mian is pregnant, Bai's mother is definitely more anxious about his marriage. If possible, he would also like to resolve his personal problems as soon as possible. It's just Gu Sheng's side. He now wants to get married, and Gu Sheng will definitely not agree. The conflict between the two has just been eliminated, and the relationship has just taken on some color. He suddenly mentioned marriage, which might scare people away. He cherishes and is very careful about this lost and recovered relationship. Don't dare to take any more risks. As soon as Baiyusheng hung up the phone, a staff member came over and said to him with a smile, Director Bai, your girlfriend is here to visit the class. As soon as the staff member finished speaking, a slender white figure walked out from behind the staff member. The woman was wearing a knee-length white floral dress, with long hair draped softly over her shoulders. She had a gentle smile on her pretty face, holding a bouquet of flowers in her hand, and the corners of her lips curved into her hand. The flowers were handed to Baiyusheng. Director Bai, congratulations in advance on the completion of your new drama. Baiyusheng was stunned for a few seconds, then raised her thin lips slightly and reached out to take the flowers. Thank you. Are you so polite, Miss Gu? As he spoke, he walked to Gu Sheng's side. His other hand had already been around her waist, leading her to the shade next to her. It's so hot, why didn't you tell me before you came? I want to give you a surprise. I'm going to do a surprise inspection. By the way, Gu Sheng had a slight smile on her lips. Feeling the curious glances from around her, she pursed her lower lip and tidied her forehead with some embarrassment. Hair. Surprise inspection. Baiyusheng tilted his head and smiled softly. Are you so worried about me? Of course. Gu Sheng met his deep and gentle gaze and winked playfully. Who doesn't know that Director Bai is the man that all the female artists in the entertainment industry want to sleep with? There are so many imaginary rivals for love, I don't just watch how you can. Oh? Then you are welcome to make surprise inspections at any time. Baiyusheng chuckled and reached out to pinch her face. You have been saying this for many years, and no female artist can sleep with me. Do you know why? Why? Gu Sheng asked cooperatively. Baiyusheng smiled and looked at her intently, his eyes focused and affectionate. I'm asking you knowingly. I only sleep with one person. Do you want to ask again who this is? Gu Sheng's face suddenly turned red. He reached out and punched his chest twice, and said angrily, not serious. The soft little hand was grabbed by Baiyusheng and held in the palm of his hand. Well, you are the only one who is not serious. When the people peeping around saw this scene, they all had onto smiles on their faces and whispered, Director Bai and his girlfriend have a really good relationship. Director Bai's girlfriend is quite beautiful and has a temperamental beauty. I heard she is a quite famous painter. End of this chapter.